Alright, so listen, I want to talk to you today about something I think is a genuine wake-up call. We have been whispering about this for decades, but now we finally know what artificial sweeteners really do to your gut and your brain. And if you think sugar-free means risk-free, oh my gosh, you have got to hear this, stick with me. Okay, number 1, anything that you pick up in a box, or a bag, or a can, or a tin, especially the stuff right there in the middle aisles of your grocery store, read those ingredient labels. I cannot emphasize that enough. Pick it up, flip it over, take a look at the side. Buy my book. What I would tell you to really avoid are products that contain erythritol and xylitol, especially when you are scanning protein bars, or sugar-free drinks, or keto products. Because I'm telling you, the research is piling up and it is not looking good for these. Now here is the thing, you can actually find a safer sweetener if you want a sweet hit, right? Raw honey, real grade A maple syrup, monk fruit and stevia, these are the safer options. But you got to be careful with stevia, because some products that say stevia on the front of the package actually have stevia in them, but they are also doctored up with some of these artificial sweeteners because stevia is expensive, so check that label. And by the way, even a small amount of regular table sugar, used in moderation, is actually safer than some of these artificial alternatives we keep hearing about. That is a hard pill to swallow, but it is true. Alright, if you want that sweet hit for your palate or your brain, you can actually get that from whole foods, fruits, vegetables, most of them are naturally sweet. There is nothing I love more than a juicy sweet orange in the morning, or, a juicy pear in the summertime, or a ripe peach in the wintertime. But when you eat whole foods, you get Mother Nature's sweet hit without resorting to the lab-made stuff, and that is just a beautiful thing. Now, I want to come back to the brain, because not only do we want to avoid stroke or heart issues, artificial sweeteners actually can have a different kind of effect on your brain. And I want to talk about that because there are a few artificial sweeteners that are very, very common, and they can mess with your head. One is called sucralose, also sometimes sold under the brand name Splenda. That is an artificial sweetener that is about 600 times sweeter than normal table sugar. No wonder companies will use it, you just don't have to use much. A little bit of that 600 times sweetener does the trick. And sucralose was approved by the FDA back in 1999, that is more than 2 decades ago. And since then it has found its way into all kinds of foods we encounter every single day, right? Diet sodas, coffee syrups that are super sweet. Think about that drive-through, you want the seasonal something or other coffee that has sweet syrup in it. It might have sucralose, sugar-free ketchup, sugar-free barbecue sauce. In the whole quest to develop low-calorie sugar-free foods, the food manufacturers have been taking these remarkably sweet artificial substitutes for sugar and throwing them in, thinking they are going to help us dodge calories, but guess what? There are unanticipated, untested side effects, collateral damage, and now we are beginning to tie those to some of the chronic diseases we want to dodge. Not good, right? Alright, what else has sucralose? Low-calorie salad dressings, protein powders, chewing gum, even some whole wheat breads and cereals. Even those, make sure you look at the ingredient label. Now, sucralose contains 0 calories, but guess what? Once you eat it, it slips into your bloodstream. It lingers around, and it actually loves to hang out in body fat. And by the way, sucralose after you eat it has even been found in breast milk. Now think about that for a second. You are feeding an infant, right? We don't fully know what that is doing yet. Okay. So there is a brand new study that shows that sucralose can actually affect your brain and your brain's control of appetite. This is real research out of the Keck School of Medicine at the University of Southern California, and the results just dropped. They ran a study on 75 healthy young adults. These were people in the first half of their lives, ages 18 to 35, and they were assigned to drink one of 3 things. One was a drink sweetened with sucralose, another was a drink sweetened with real sugar, sucrose, another was plain water. And the researchers put them inside a functional MRI scanner. Now, some of you may know an MRI is kind of taking a picture of your body at pretty high resolution. You get clear images, but functional MRI is dynamic. While the picture is being taken, you can actually watch the brain light up in real time. You can see activity. That is what these researchers did. And they were looking specifically at the hypothalamus, a small region deep in your brain that acts like your body's thermostat for hunger. It is the region that decides when you have had enough. The place that says, "All right, slow down now." And here is what they found that should make you sit up straight. Sucralose did not just fail to satisfy the brain the way real sugar did, it actually increased functional connections between the hypothalamus and other brain regions tied to hunger and motivation. It cranked the appetite dial up, especially in women and especially in people carrying extra weight. So when you drink a diet soda with sucralose, and you eat carbs alongside it, your brain gets a sweet taste, but no satisfying payoff. The hypothalamus reads that as, we still need fuel, so you keep eating, you keep snacking. And you are not full. Now think about what that does over weeks, months, years. If you are somebody who drinks sugar-free diet sodas all day, and you eat a lot of high-carb meals along with them, your brain is being short-circuited, it is not registering fullness when it should, so you overeat, you gain weight, you develop insulin resistance, your metabolism gets derailed, blood sugar creeps up, blood pressure ticks up, all kinds of badness. So sucralose can directly affect the part of your brain that decides whether you are hungry or full, and that is a big deal. What about the gut microbiome? Guess what? Sucralose, like the other artificial sweeteners we are talking about, erythritol, xylitol, sucralose also damages the gut microbiome and increases inflammation and puts stress on your healthy gut bacteria. That is the message from multiple lines of research now. So, what is the takeaway from this part of the video? I am going to repeat it again. Read your labels, look for sucralose, alright? It is hiding in way more products than most people realize. You will find it in salad dressings, in yogurt, in flavored waters, in chewing gum, in baked goods, in cereals, in protein powders. Got to check this stuff, because especially protein powders, made by the supplement companies or fitness companies, they are all well-intentioned. They do have protein in them, but in order to make it palatable, they throw stuff in like sucralose, so just check the ingredient label and you will pick it up. Very, very important. Alright, now let me come back over here and remind you one more time. When you are shopping, avoid the erythritol, avoid the xylitol, because we are now seeing studies, good serious studies, linking erythritol to increased risk of heart attack and stroke. The Cleveland Clinic published a major study in Nature Medicine looking at this. They found that erythritol makes your platelets more active, more sticky, which means your blood clots more easily, and the people in their study who had the highest blood levels of erythritol were about twice as likely to suffer a major cardiac event over the next 3 years, twice. That is not a small signal, that is a flashing red light. Now, this is a wake-up call. Sugar-free does not always mean risk-free. Now if erythritol can mess with your heart and sucralose can mess with your brain, what about your gut? There are other researchers that are taking a hard look at what is the effect of artificial sweeteners and preservatives on gut health. We know that gut health, which is really basically the health of your healthy gut bacteria, your microbiome, those 39 trillion bacteria that live inside your gut, mostly in your colon, we know that your gut is connected to your brain, your immune system, your healing capacity, your stem cells. Lots of things. Your gut is actually the foundation of a lot that goes on inside your body, and researchers have looked at how food additives and artificial sweeteners affect healthy gut bacteria. You may have seen me talk about some of the healthy gut bacteria before, but I will just remind you, they have really, really long complicated names. Don't worry about trying to memorize them, leave it to people like me that can pronounce them even if barely. Lactobacillus, bifidobacterium, Lactococcus. These are 3 bacteria that are very healthy and have been well studied. These are friendly gut bacteria that help you digest food, fight off invaders like bacteria and viruses. And by the way, these bacteria, Lactobacillus, Bifidobacterium and Lactococcus, they actually produce anti-inflammatory compounds that lower inflammation in our body too. All good. What the research is showing is that there are substances, additives in ultra-processed foods that can actually knock down or knock out some of these healthy gut bacteria, right? And some of the biggest offenders, you might be surprised, potassium sorbate. Go ahead, take a look in your pantry for something that is ultra-processed or a bag of something and flip it over. See if you find potassium sorbate on the ingredient label. Sodium benzoate, very common additive. Sodium bisulfite, another very common additive. Saccharin. very common artificial sweetener, and polysorbate 80, this is a thickener, an emulsifier. You are going to find this on a lot of foods. Alright, potassium sorbate, sodium benzoate, sodium bisulfite, saccharin and polysorbate 80. Now, that might seem like a mouthful, but I guarantee you probably have something in your kitchen right now, maybe a lot of things in your kitchen that contain one or more of those additives. They didn't just reduce the population of good bacteria, lactobacillus, bifidobacterium and lactococcus, but the ones that they did not knock out, they actually impaired their function, they reduced the number, and then they crippled the ones that were left. Not good, right? And by the way, saccharin, artificial sweetener, and potassium sorbate preservative significantly reduce the production by your healthy gut bacteria of short-chain fatty acids. These are short-chain fatty acids, or SCFAs, we sometimes call them SCF for short, acetate, propionate, butyrate. You have probably heard other people talk about this, but potassium sorbate and saccharin, very common in ultra-processed foods, they actually reduce the production of these healthy anti-inflammatory products that your normal gut bacteria makes. And by the way, these short-chain fatty acids not only lower inflammation, they support your gut lining strength. You don't want leaky gut, you absolutely need these short-chain fatty acids, and they support your immune health, right? These are the super soldiers in your body that protect you against invaders from the outside, bacteria and viruses, and inside your body, they protect you against invaders from within, like cancer. What about polysorbate 80? That is an emulsifier, or a thickener if you want to talk in everyday speak. An emulsifier is just a thickener that is put in foods, right? It is found in ice cream, in salad dressings, a lot of baked goods. Guess what? Polysorbate 80 was linked in studies to increased intestinal permeability. What does that mean in English? Increased gut leakiness. You don't want that. Alright. Now why is having a non-leaky gut important for your health? Because your gut actually is a sealed-off tube, so whatever goes through the gut, which is the food you eat, the digested matter that goes further down and ultimately becomes what you flush away. You want everything to stay inside that tube and not leak out into your body. When the gut barrier is compromised, stuff leaks out, you get chronic inflammation. Not surprising when I tell you all that stuff is leaking out of your gut. Weakened immunity, alright, so your immune system goes down. Now you are more vulnerable for a whole range of chronic diseases, including potentially cancer. Gotta be careful about this. This is what we are learning about how important our immune system is, and how it is linked to our gut health, and that leaky gut is really not a good thing. Alright, so what are your practical tips? Number 1. Again, read the label. Check that ingredient label, look for the things that you might not want in your body that I have just told you about: potassium sorbate, sodium bisulfite, sodium benzoate, saccharin, polysorbate 80. And look for the sweeteners too: erythritol, xylitol, sucralose, aspartame, asulfame potassium. Actually, when you look for those things, you are going to find it is not that easy to avoid them because they are so incredibly common everywhere. And this is what the wake-up call is really about. Not just to say, oh, we should avoid ultra-processed foods. It is really to avoid the specific ingredients that are doing the damage. You might have some processed foods in your kitchen that are actually better than others because they don't have these elements. And by the way, what do these additives do? They make foods have a very, very long shelf life. If something looks like it can sit around for months or years and you know that food shouldn't last that long, it probably has one of these kinds of additives in it. Alright. And also, these hard-to-pronounce ingredients, if you can't pronounce it, it is probably not that great for you. That is actually a good rule of thumb. Okay, back to sweeteners, right? Practical tip: how do you sweeten your food? If you don't want to use saccharin or erythritol or xylitol, okay, just look for foods that are naturally sweetened: honey, maple syrup, stevia, monk fruit. Make sure it is pure stuff, those are actually fine. And by the way, some of the juices that you can squeeze out of a fruit also have natural sweeteners as well. What you want to do is protect your healthy gut bacteria at all times. Fiber-rich foods. Eat foods with a lot of fiber: tree nuts, walnuts, pecans, macadamia nuts. Alright, broccoli, avocados, kiwi, all these things are good sources of dietary fiber. Lots of vegetables. Lots of fruits and vegetables, legumes, great source of dietary fiber and protein, and micronutrients and minerals. Legumes, what are they? Beans, white beans, black beans, pinto beans, you name it. Lentils, chickpeas, soybeans. They are all going to have all these good things that help feed your gut microbiome. And whole grains, ancient grains like quinoa, farro, millet, whole grains in general, it is all going to be better for you rather than the ultra-refined carbs that most of us grew up with. When you actually eat these whole foods that help feed your gut bacteria, make them healthy ones grow more healthy bacteria, guess what? It supports your body's production of short-chain fatty acids, SCFAs, healthier bacteria, more SCFAs, more benefit. Lowering inflammation, better sealing of the gut lining, better immune strength, all the things you want for long-term health. There are some very specific foods that have been studied in research that really support good production of SCFAs. You want to know what they are? Chicory root, garlic, onions, those have actually been studied by researchers and they are really good for producing short-chain fatty acids in your gut, right? Remember, your gut is the foundation of your health. The more you support your gut health, the better your overall body health is going to be as well. Alright, so far we have looked at how artificial sweeteners and additives in ultra-processed foods can affect your heart, your brain and your gut. I want to come back to the brain because there are still 2 more sweeteners that I want to flag for you. One is called aspartame. Now aspartame is one of the most studied food additives in the world, but recent research is raising some eyebrows. Aspartame is roughly 200 times sweeter than table sugar, and over the years you have seen it in diet sodas, sugar-free gums, all of those tabletop sweetener packets that you might have around, and there is research now suggesting that aspartame may affect neurotransmitter activity in the brain. Specifically, once it is broken down, one of its byproducts is phenylalanine, and that can interfere with the production of serotonin and dopamine. These are the feel-good neurotransmitters that keep your mood steady, your motivation up, and your sleep regular. So when you consume aspartame regularly, some research suggests that it might be quietly nudging your brain chemistry in directions you don't really want to go. The other artificial sweetener that is getting some serious attention is acebound potassium. Sometimes you will see it on labels as ACE-K. Now this one is about 200 times sweeter than sugar, similar to aspartame, and it doesn't have any calories either, so you are going to find it in a lot of baked goods, in a lot of sugar-free drinks, even in some protein shakes. What is interesting about ACE-K is that recent studies have shown that it may actually affect the balance of your gut bacteria in ways that we are still trying to fully understand. Some animal studies have shown changes in the gut microbiome composition, which can indirectly influence your mood and your cognition, because remember, big picture, your gut and your brain are talking to each other all the time through what we call the gut-brain axis. So when the gut is off, the brain can be off. Alright, so what does all this boil down to? Sugar-free does not mean risk-free. Artificial sweeteners are sneaky because they were designed to fool your taste buds without adding calories, but your body is smarter than that. Your gut, your brain, your heart, they all notice. So here is what I tell my patients. Number 1, read the labels every single time. Erythritol, xylitol, aspartame, sucralose, saccharin, acesulfame potassium, those are the big 6 to look out for, and I know it feels overwhelming. But once you start scanning for those names, it becomes second nature. Number 2, swap when you can. Use raw honey, real maple syrup, monk fruit that is pure, and pure stevia. These are sweeteners that come from the earth, not from a lab, and your body knows how to handle them. Number 3, satisfy your sweet tooth with whole foods, a nice juicy piece of fruit, a sweet potato, a banana. You are getting fiber, vitamins, minerals, and that sweet satisfaction without the side effects. Number 4, feed your gut like you would feed a garden. Lots of fiber from veggies, legumes, whole grains, garlic, onions, chicory root. These prebiotic foods give your healthy bacteria what they need to thrive and produce those wonderful SCFAs. Number 5, support your gut lining, avoid the emulsifiers and preservatives. Polysorbate 80, potassium sorbate, sodium benzoate, these are the things that disrupt your gut lining and can lead to leaky gut, which is the doorway to chronic inflammation. Number 6, listen to your brain. If you are drinking diet sodas all day and you are hungry all the time, that is not a coincidence. Your brain is being short-circuited by these sweeteners that pretend to be sugar but don't actually satisfy, so work on getting those out of your routine. Alright, so that is what I want to leave you with today. Artificial sweeteners, they were sold to us as a miracle, the answer to our sugar woes without the calories, but the more we study them, the more we see that they have unintended consequences on the systems that keep us healthy. The gut, the brain, the heart, they are all connected, and these sweeteners are showing up in places we really did not expect them to, so be your own best advocate, read those labels, make smart swaps, eat real food, feed your microbiome, and trust your body's signals. They are smarter than any marketing campaign out there. That's it for now. I hope you found this helpful. I am just going to keep bringing to the surface things that we encounter every day that you need to know about, so it is best to be able to make your own choices. You don't want to be deprived of the choices, but when you see it, you want to know something about it, and that will allow you to decide whether or not you want to put it in your body. If you found this helpful, hit the like button, subscribe if you are not already subscribed, and share this video with somebody who you think could use this kind of information today. I will see you in the next video. Dr. Clark out.